but you can bet there'll be non-stop excitement for 400 laps of competition. Nashville, home of the Grand Ole Opry, and today the Super Bowl of short track racing, the All-American 400. ESPN, the world's leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. Today from Nashville Motor Raceway in Tennessee, it's the All-American 400. Temperatures are cool, the sun is shining, it is an absolutely beautiful day for racing here in Nashville, Tennessee. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins, and welcome to Nashville Motor Raceway, an event that brings together the very best short track drivers throughout the United States. We will settle a championship here today. The NASCAR Winston All-Pro Series will decide a champion. Bobby Gill goes into this race with an 11-point lead over last year's champion, Jody Ridley. Third, fourth, and fifth in the points, Billy Bigley Jr., Gary Bradbury, and Mike Garvey. Bobby Gill set to win his first Winston All-Pro Championship here today. With him, John Kernan down in the pit area.
Thank you, Bob. Bobby Gill, sitting back here in the 10th starting position, has an 11-point lead over Jody Ridley. I know you got to have a little bit of mixed feelings today. Last race of the year, a lot of competition here on this racetrack, and only 11-point lead. How do you protect that?
Well, you know, the last couple of races, we've been just trying to take it easy and finish, and we've been having problems, been in the back and a few crashes, so we're coming here to this race to win this race, and we win this race, and we win that championship.
How much do you watch for Jody in your rearview mirror?
I think if we're running good, I could beat Jody today. You know, the past races, you know, we've been running pretty good, and we've been finishing like one position ahead of Jody or right on his bumper, and if the car's working good, I think we'll be ahead of Jody today.
Bobby Gill expecting a good run today, but I tell you, not just Jody Ridley, he'll be racing for the win. There are some of the top short track drivers in all of the country gathered here at Nashville. For more on that, let's go upstairs to Ned and Benning.
And, John, we have a sellout crowd here today at the Nashville Motor Speedway to see a champion crown. Will it be Bobby Gill or Jody Ridley? But, Ned, they're really fighting an uphill battle with this competition we have.
I tell you, can you imagine going in trying to win a championship and have race drivers, the best short track drivers from all over the country? It's sort of like if they brought the best of the IndyCar Series and the best of the Formula One to go to Atlanta in a few weeks to crown the Winston Cup champion. I'll tell you, it's unreal.
It is going to be tough. We've got Randy McDonald from the ACT. We have the guys from ASA and also the all-pro guys here today. It is going to be fantastic, the drivers and the competition we have.
Well, there were 63 drivers who tried to get in this field. Of course, a lot of them had to go home. Jody Ridley battling for his second straight Winston All-Pro Series title, and he's with John Kernan.
Thank you, Ned. Jody will start from the 15th position. And, Jody, the championship going for your second in a row. You're only 11 points down. How do you approach the race today?
Well, I think we're just going to go out and do what we've done all year. We've had a good year. We ran well, and just a couple of instances got us behind. And you know, I think it's the best way to go about it. Whatever, if the car feels good, run it hard. If it don't, run it every hard and keep up with it. And, you know, I think it'll take care of itself.
You know, this is a very fast track. Laps under 20 seconds. Things can happen very quickly in front of you. How do you stay out of the trouble?
Well, sometimes you can't. You know, that's what's got me behind. But you try to look ahead, and you know the guys you're racing with, and you know things could happen and couldn't. And, you know, you just, when you're in a position I'm in right now, you got to run hard, but you got to run a little conservative, too. You can't really let it hang out, but you still got to run hard. So we're just, like I said again, we're going to run a normal race, which is, you know, kind of cautious, but not too cautious. And Bobby's going to run good, you know, and it's just going to be, I guess, a deal with which one beats the other and probably wind up with a championship.
That's Jody Ridley. He'll start 15th from the grid today.
Bobby Gill has won 4 times this year in Winston All-Pro competition. Jody Ridley has recorded 2 victories. One of them will emerge from this race with the 1992 championship. Our Speed World coverage of the All-American 400 is brought to you by Quaker State. The Big Q is one tough motor oil. And by Smooth Busch Beer and easy drinking Busch Light. We'll be back to fire the engines on these 40 cars and get this race going in a moment from Nashville Motor Raceway. Around the world, around the year, with over 1 million miles of award-winning auto racing coverage. ESPN Speed World today is at Nashville Motor Raceway for the All-American 200, and we are just about to get this race started.
Well, Ronnie Robbins, it's time for those famous words in all of motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines.
Well, the Winston All-Pro Bull is among the spectators getting set for an afternoon of the best short track racing you will see anywhere in the United States and Canada, for that matter. And there is our pole sitter, Bob Sineker, who's got the helmet on, strapped in the car, and ready to go. And here's the die-hard starting lineup. Sineker's on the pole with a speed of 112.423 miles an hour. He's flanked on the outside of row number 1 by car number 1, Randy Porter. In the second row, Daniel Keene in car number 05 and Jeff Purvis in 51. The third row consists of Tim Steele, the most recent winner in this series, in number 85, and Rich Bickle in car number 5. The fourth row, Mike Cope in number 25 and Mike Garvey in 32. The fifth row, Billy Bigley Jr., one of those in the top 5 of points. And the points leader in car number 71, going for the championship today, Bobby Gill. Row number 6, it's Scott Hansen in car number 53 and Rick Crawford in 14. In row number 7, Jason Keller in car number 57 and number 15, driven by Mark Day. The 8th row consists of Jody Ridley in car number 98. He also is going for the championship. And the nephew of Bill Elliott from Dawsonville, Georgia, Casey Elliott, driving car number 94. As you take a look at the rest of the starting lineup, you'll see some Winston Cup names scattered throughout. Dick Trickle is on the inside of row number 9. Also, Darrell Waltrip is in the starting lineup today. That makes sense because his hometown is just down the road in Franklin, Tennessee. He will start in car number 17 inside of row number 12.
Bob, I think any of these drivers, regardless of where they're starting, have to be considered potential winners in this race. It might take some of those far back, like Steve Holshausen, to get up towards the front, but you can rest assured they'll be trying.
Gary Bradbury, another driver who's in the top 5 in the point standings. And the only female in the race, Tammy Jo Kirk, back in row 17.
And only the second female to start in this race. Robin McCall Dallenbach was the first a few years ago. Well, that's the starting lineup. Now let's take a look at the track that they'll be competing on here this afternoon. It is 0.596 miles in length. The pole speed was 112.4 to time of 19.085. We'll go 400 laps, and the race record is a little over 85.5 miles an hour. Well, Bill Elliott is on hand. He had hoped maybe to compete in this race, but because he's in, of course, the thick of the Winston Cup Series championship race, he didn't want to take any chances of Bill being injured in any way, but he's here watching his nephew Casey in competition. There is Casey Elliott driving car number 94. He, of course, is also from Dawsonville, Georgia. In 2 more laps, we'll get the green flag and we'll be underway for 400 laps.
People were talking about Bill being crew chief for Casey today, and I said, I don't think they're going to let him have that job.
I'm sure he's going to play an advisory role down there in the pits, but I think Bill is more or less just here as a spectator.
But I doubt if anybody will listen to him. He might advise, but no one will listen to him.
Gentlemen, I was impressed with Casey Elliott yesterday in the 25-lap qualifying race. He did a great job. He had an awfully fast car, and I think he'll have a fast car today.
He was impressive. I tell you what, Sineker won that race, and it looked to me like that Casey Elliott was running a little bit faster than Sineker at the end of 25 laps. So.
Well, we do short track races for the Winston Cup Series at North Wilkesboro and Bristol and Martinsville, but there's just something about coming here to Nashville to see these guys compete. This, without question, as we have mentioned before, and we'll probably mention it a lot more this afternoon, but ladies and gentlemen, you're looking at the very best short track drivers in the United States. They have come from several different sanctioning organizations to challenge each other here today, and the crowd, the sellout crowd here certainly is anticipating a great race. John Kernan has a report just before the green flag.
You know, you mentioned short track racing. You think a lot of tires will be used. Of course, that's what we see on the Winston Cup circuit. But here, Bob Sineker's fifth pole sitter, there are only 3 sets of tires. That's because they're limited to the set that they start on the car, then 3 sets. They have only 16 tires total to go through in this race. Now, they can change them any amount of times, take them off, put them back on a little bit later. But if they get caught with tires that are not marked, then they will be penalized 2 laps per tires. And by mark, the NASCAR officials put a mark on each one of these tires prior to today's race.
Bob Seneker leads him down off of corner number 4 alongside Randy Porter. The green flag is out. The All-American 400 is underway.
Wow, look at Porter go.
Porter has jumped out to a full car length lead and now makes it 2 car lengths. Randy Porter will have the first lap lead. Seneker running in second position, then Purvis, then Daniel Keene.
And Rich Bickle. The top 5. The low groove is the preferred groove, at least in the early part of the race, Bob. That's usually the case on most short tracks around the country, but certainly here at Nashville.
The banks are at 18 degrees here today. That's exactly what they are at Michigan International Speedway.
There's Billy Bigley.
Rick
Scott
Crawford.
Hansen, Rick Crawford. That's about 10 spots they're racing for.
10th, 11th, and 12th right there is Hansen in car number 53. Goes to the outside, coming off of corner number 2, working to the outside of Billy Bigley Jr.
He's doing a good job on the outside. I said the low groove was the preferred groove, but he's hanging right in there on the outside.
I'll tell you what, if Hansen goes to the front, he's definitely going to do it the hard way. They finally get back in line.
Back up front, it is still Porter, but his lead isn't quite as lengthy as it was a couple of laps ago, as Seneker now is closing in on the rear bumper.
And Bob, Mike Garvey in car number 32 just went around the Rich Bickle car on the outside a lap or 2 ago, so Garvey's on the move.
Garvey moves up to 5th position, putting Bickle back to 6th. Tim Steele is 7th, then Gill in 8th, Mike Cope in 9th, and Rick Crawford is in 10th position. Your top 10 at the end of 6 laps. Chad Chapin in car number 93 and Jody Ridley in 98 here. The 15 car is Mark Day.
And we talked about Jody Ridley, and he's probably said that he's going to be a little bit conservative today, try to win the race, but he has to be conservative. He cannot fall out of this race early on and just give the championship to Gill.
Brian Refner, car number 87, is the first casualty of this event. He has dropped out of competition because of a lost cylinder. Ridley looking to the inside of Day there. Down the backstretch, one car faltering. The 25 car, that's Mike Cope, slowing dramatically. Almost lost it coming off the second corner and kind of jammed up everybody that was behind him. Now he's dropped his Tampa Bay number 25 car to the inside of the racetrack.
Looks like we see some smoke out of the back of that car, like he's lost an engine or something.
Looks like there may be some fluid leaking from it, too. He is down on the apron.
And it happened, he couldn't get down to the inside to get into the pit, so he had to go all the way around the track.
We will follow up on the situation regarding Mike Cope. Meanwhile, on the racetrack, it is still Randy Porter leading Seneker, Purvis, Keene, and Garvey at the end of 10 laps here at Nashville, Tennessee. Back at Nashville Motor Raceway, where the All-American 400 is now 15 laps old. Randy Porter still has the lead over Bob Seneker, Jeff Purvis, Mike Garvey, who has moved into 4th position.
And there's trouble on turn 2.
Outside of turn number 2, the 33 car driven by Jeremy Mayfield is the car involved. Car is stopped at the top of the racetrack just outside of turn number 2 as the field comes around and will receive the yellow flag for the first time this afternoon.
Jeremy's had sort of a tough weekend here. On the start of the 25 lap qualifying race, he was bumped from the rear and spun out, didn't even get to the start-finish line, and that's the reason he was so far back in the field.
Last year, record number 16 cautions for this event. It's our first of the day here in 1992, and it comes on lap number 17. This is the NASCAR All-Pro Series, and we'll be back at Nashville after this. First accident of the day involves car number 33, driven by Jeremy Mayfield. Here's what happened as he came out of corner number 2, had contact with another car.
It looks like car 4, Ron Young, and Mayfield made some contact coming off the corner. And I tell you what, he hit the wall pretty hard. It doesn't look like there's a lot of damage, but he caught the wall fairly flush with the right side tires, and he is out for the day.
And the indication is being given one more lap before green. In the meantime, let's get a report on a couple of cars who have been on pit road. John Kernan.
Well, Mike Cope has pulled it behind the wall. He told me when he came out of the turn, it felt like the car got really loose. Said it felt like an axle broke. They parked the car behind the wall, pulled off the left hub, and look at that smoking piece of metal right there. That's the end of the axle that fits into the drive plate. Just snapped it right into. So Mike Cope and his crew are working to try and get that replaced. Meanwhile, number 14, Rick Crawford, had pulled onto pit road. A lot of smoke and a smell of burning oil coming from underneath the hood of that car. They've checked the oil fittings. Apparently, that's not the problem. They've taken that car to the garage area, but apparently Rick had lost oil pressure and also a lot of smoke, so an oil problem for Rick Crawford.
Crawford, one of the top drivers in all-pro competition. He's 6th in the point standings going in. Here's the green flag. We're back to racing. Porter gets a good jump on Seneca and the others. Looks like he would like to get to the inside of Seneca and take over 2nd spot.
Well, look at Seneca. He is closed up now, hasn't he, Ned?
Yes, he has. His car seems to be a little bit tight the first couple of laps, and then the tire sort of gets seated in, and he comes back in a hurry.
Porter drifted a little high there in the 1st and 2nd turns. Thought Seneca might make a run at him. He did not, but they certainly have closed up the interval. Porter again a little bit higher on the racetrack than Seneca. They come off the 4th turn, and Bob moves alongside of Porter. And going into turn 1, let's see who comes out with the lead. They are side by side through the 18 degrees of banking. Porter's still able to maintain a slight advantage. Now Seneca still challenging.
Seneca in a Ford, Porter in a Chevrolet.
Porter might have found him a groove up there, Ned.
Yeah. He said, hey, I didn't know I could run this good up here.
That's right. He's getting a great grip. Coming off those corners, able to pull away from Seneca.
Probably surprised Seneca a little bit, too.
But the problem is, as John Kernan reported, they only get 16 tires. And running up in that high groove like Porter is right now, you're going to use your tires up a little bit more than Seneca is down on the bottom of the racetrack in what we all call the groove, or the fastest way around the racetrack, or the shortest way around the racetrack.
Mike Garvey, car number 32, is the 4th there. A little bit of interval back to the 5th position, and that's held down by Daniel Keene. The 37 car, driven by Larry Raines, and the 17 of Darrell Waltrip have been in a heated battle for the last couple of laps, exchanging paint once in a while. Waltrip with not a particularly good qualifying effort here.
They're 16th and 17th. Darrell about to take over the 16th position.
Waltrip on the high groove. That number 7 car, the white one, is driven by David Green as he comes up and now makes it a 3-car battle.
David Green, one of the mechanics on Bobby Labonte's Busch Grand National car. And David Green drove the car 8 on the Busch Grand National circuit last year, I guess it was.
Yes.
They have a unique qualifying procedure for this event. The top 3 in terms of speed and time in qualifications are locked in. The others are basically determined by their finishing positions in 3 qualifying races. They're the first 4. It's still Porter holding on over Seneca and Purvis and Garvey.
Oh, Garvey and Purvis made a little contact coming off the 2nd corner. Both cars wiggle a little bit. Maybe get him back under control.
Now Mike says he's going to head up for that top room.
And it didn't work too good for him.
No, not as well as it's working for Porter.
I really wouldn't be surprised if Purvis is not the fastest of this group.
Or maybe Garvey. Garvey's
Maybe
off the
Garvey,
fast.
yes.
Yeah.
The 09 is Dick Trickle. The 8 car is Steve Holzhausen. And then the 37, as we mentioned, is driven by Larry Rain.
And there's Dave Mader in the 3 car.
Mader crashed during one of the qualifying events. That's the reason that he started so far back in the field. But Dave Mader is certainly another one of those names that you think about when you think about short track racing in the United States. Now Darrell Waltrip on the inside of David Green. Waltrip performing in front of the hometown crowd. Boy, I tell you, he received a tremendous ovation during driver introductions this morning. They love this guy here in this area.
He has won a lot of races on this racetrack, including Winston Cup. We got a battle up front here. Here's Jody Ridley. Bob Seneker being passed on the outside by Jeff Purvis.
Takes over second position. Seneker back to third, and now Garvey in 32. Again, works up on that high groove, trying to find the bite that Porter is getting up there, but he can't quite get the job done. John Kernan has a report on Porter.
Well, Bob, I just talked to Frankie Grill, Porter's crew chief. He says that he's not running by plan in that higher groove, that it's out of necessity, that the car is just a little bit loose right now. And I guess loose means very fast in this situation, because he's doing quite well up in that higher groove.
Yeah, but he just lost fourth position because Daniel Keene has taken it away from him, and now he threatens to lose another position as Bickle has his number 5 down below Garvey and sneaks around.
Yeah, I thought Garvey was the fastest car on the track maybe, and he's going backwards all of a sudden just as soon as I said that.
So now Jeff Purvis is in second position.
And he's going for the lead, coming off 4.
We'll see if that low groove is working for him. They're side by side into one.
John Kernan talked about if his car is loose up there running, the reason he's running up there in that second groove, that'll get worse before it gets better if the car is loose up there. However, he managed to hold on to the lead right there.
The leaders put a lap on the 77 car driven by George Engel from Chelsea, Alabama. Your top 5, Randy Porter, Jeff Purvis, Bob Seneker, Daniel Keene, and Rich Bickle at the end of 41 laps. ESPN Speed World today at the All-American 400 at Nashville Motor Raceway. Jeff Purvis has taken over the lead. Second place now belongs to Bob Seneker. The number 1 car driven by Randy Porter, which was leading a few laps ago, is just going to the back very, very rapidly. Here's how he lost the lead to Jeff Purvis.
Coming off turn 4, Jeff Purvis gets to the inside. Porter, he's been racing him on the outside. This time he decided to let Purvis go. He goes down the corner, and you're right, Porter now is just falling back position after position. About every lap he's losing positions.
John, what's the problem on that car?
Well, Ned kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier in the broadcast. He said that the car would go ahead and get looser and looser. I just talked to Frankie Grill, the crew chief. He says that is exactly the problem, that Randy's having to back out of it a little bit too much. That's why he's losing so many positions. He's trying to save the car. What they hope for right now is to get a caution period so they can come in and put on 4 new tires and make a stagger adjustment, trying to get the handling back under Randy.
There might not be a caution flag, Ned.
There might not be, and I'm sure that they plan to stop somewhere around 100 laps, and we're just in the 55 lap range right now. He'll get lapped before if there is not a caution, before he would come in at 100 laps.
Jeff Purvis, the defending champion of this event, has won 4 times in NASCAR Winston All-Pro competition this year. He's leading this event right now, but not too far behind is Bob Seneker, who spends most of his year on the ASA circuit.
Say what, these guys were pretty good distance against on the third place car of Daniel Keene. We see the red car just at the top of the picture. That is third place.
And they're lapping the number 27 car driven by Hut Strickland, one of the Winston Cup drivers gathered here this weekend. Tim Steele and Bobby Gill have been running together for the last few laps. Steele in 85, Bobby Gill the points leader in 71. And then right behind him is the 53 car driven by Scott Hansen.
If Gill could just stay there, the championship is his. Because right now, Jody Ridley is behind him.
There are 5 cars between Gill and Ridley.
And really all he has to be is one position in front of Ridley to win the championship, because he had an 11-point lead coming into this race.
3, 4, and there he is, Jody Ridley.
But we have a long way to go.
Yeah, that's right. And Jody Ridley is a veteran. He's not going to take any chances. He's going to take it easy. He wants to be here at the end of 400 laps, just like Bob Seneker. He's our pole sitter, but he's not really trying that hard. He's not used his car up. There's our points leader, Bobby Gill, the black 71 car. There he is, following Tim Steele. Four wins, 1992, not bad.
Yeah, he and Jeff Purvis have recorded the most wins in all-pro competition this year. And we'll show you the interval between Bobby Gill and the leader of the race. And there he is, Jeff Purvis. Seneker's hanging right in there with him.
Yes, he is. He's just staying right there, not abusing his car or his tires.
There's Darrell Sage in the pits, a local boy from Franklin, Tennessee. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, I think
Darrell Waltrip country down in Franklin.
Which is about, what, 20 miles or so south of Nashville. The 99 car of Charlie Stokes has come into the pits for a second time.
That right rear tire's not in the right place on that car.
Charlie Stokes is 9th in the point standings going into this event. The leaders flash by and put him another lap down.
Benny, I believe Seneker has a faster race car than he's showing us right now. I believe he's just sitting there riding. And
I was saying a little bit ago that he's a veteran. He's been doing this a long, long time, and he's not going to use his car up in the first 100 laps. And by the way, that is his race car. He's not driving for anyone. He's the owner of the car, the mechanic on the car.
Purvis is from Alabama. Bob Seneker is from Dorr, Michigan, which is a little town near Grand Rapids.
Purvis is from Tennessee.
I'm sorry,
Parkville.
Yeah. Yep. So Purvis continuing to lead over Bob Seneker as we present coverage of the All-American 400 from Nashville Motor Raceway in Tennessee. We'll be right back. Bob Jenkins, Ned Jarrett, Benny Parsons, and John Kernan back at the All-American 400.
Guess what, guys? That 84 car is smoking a little bit.
The 84 car is Bob Seneker, the blue car, running in second position behind Jeff Purvis. By golly, it is on the right side there, in the right rear.
Just a little smoke when he goes, hey, the points leader, Bobby Gill, is slowed down. The points leader is slowing coming off the second corner.
Boy, he is having all kinds of problems getting that car under control. He is just all over the racetrack. Something has gone wrong with Bobby Gill, the points leader in NASCAR All-Pro competition, trying to win his first championship here this afternoon. He stays out there on the racetrack. I don't know what's going on, but it's sick.
Yeah, evidently something maybe has happened to the engine, Bob, and he's just going to ride around. Maybe he lost a cylinder or two. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Boy,
wow, how disappointing this is. Now he's coming in the pits.
Yep. Gill enters pit road. The car will come into your frame, and look, it just suddenly, something happens to it. He almost lost it there in the first turn.
Wonder if he had a flat tire. John Kernan?
Ned, you're exactly right. A flat right rear tire. What a disappointing moment for Bobby Gill, the points leader. He could only come down pit road at 35 miles an hour. That means he's going to lose at least one lap here, possibly more. They've got that right rear tire changed, and Bobby Gill is down and away, but a costly problem for the points leader.
I believe he lost 2 laps, didn't he? There go the leaders into turn 2. So Gill's pit stop for a flat tire has cost him 2 laps and may have cost him the championship, but let's not speculate on that right now because we are a long way from over.
Yeah, his best hopes right now would be that this thing will stay green for a long time and that the others would have to make a green flag pit stop, and then that could put him back in sequence.
In any case, there is Jody Ridley, who's trying to win his 2nd consecutive All-Pro Championship. This series became under the auspices of NASCAR just last year, and so Jody was the first champion of the NASCAR All-Pro division.
There's our outside pole to Randy Porter. Remember, car 1 who led the race earlier on, being lapped in just 70 laps. Ned, you're right. This car's getting worse every lap.
Well, that's got to be a sickening feeling sitting out there.
There goes Rich Bickle.
Yeah, Rich, but now the 05 car of Daniel Keene seems to be in problem as Bickle comes around. So does Field, so does Hansen. There goes Chad Chafin to the inside in that green car, number 93. So Daniel Keene has a problem.
And Billy Bigby goes by. There's Jason Keller. The black 57 is Keller. He goes by. So the guy who started 3rd is having some problems. There's Casey Elliott, the white 94 coming into the picture.
And we go down to John Kernan, who has the tire that came off of Bobby Gill's machine.
This could turn out to be a championship tire, or I tell you what, it could be the loss of a championship kind of tire. What happened? He ran over something. You can see right here where the cut came all along this side and finally took a chunk out right there. He took out the, that's just cut it right there, and all the air came out. A very, very costly mistake, as I said, for Bobby Gill, but hey, you know, these things happen.
That's racing, as they say. And now the leaders are in traffic. Meanwhile,
there's Dick Trickle and Jody Ridley.
They're battling side by side. In the 7 car again is David Green, who won, by the way, an ARCA race that was held here on this racetrack on July 4th.
Ridley not putting up too much of a fight there. He's a little smarter than that. He's just going to stay there and ride, keep his car clean, try to keep from getting in contact with anyone.
There we see that smoke again on that 84 car. I'm not sure that's not a right rear tire smoking when he goes in the corner, Ned.
Yeah, that's the only time we see the smoke, so I don't know.
We'll have John Kernan check on that and offer a report before too long. Those running up front are moving through 2nd. Now there is Gill right behind Seneca. And remember, Gill got the new tires on.
That's right, and he's going to be much faster than these other cars. We can see that he's pulled up right on the back bumper of Seneca.
Now remember, Gill lost 2 laps, so if he can get a lap back right here.
Yeah, he needs to pass Seneca and Purvis before he get one of those laps back. And then if the caution came out, it wouldn't hurt him nearly as bad.
Well, that smoke is becoming much more pronounced. Bobby has tried the inside. Now he's going to try the outside on Seneca. It may work.
Might do it. Boy, he went in there fast and came off fast and made the pass.
It stuck. So now if he can get around Jeff Purvis, the leader, who is up there on the high side of the 37 car of Larry Raines, he'll get one of his 2 lost laps.
And Purvis is having trouble with this traffic. He's just not getting around the traffic as easily as you think he would.
Well, his tires are getting pretty worn and hot and not sticking like it was earlier.
John Kernan, I guess you've talked to the people in the Seneca pit. What are they saying?
Bob, 82 laps up on the board. This is a tough, old racetrack. I mean, if you walk across and feel the surface out there, and Benny and Ned maybe can expound on this a little bit further, but it is really rough on tires. They've got now 84 laps on these tires, plus qualifying. So the tires are just simply starting to go away, and they're going away for some of the other teams, too, we're hearing. We're probably anticipating that stays green to see pit stops, the first scheduled pit stops to come around lap 100.
So that would be in about 16 or 17 laps from right now.
There we see Randy McDonald in the black 01 car right in front of our leader, Jeff Purvis. McDonald from Canada finished second in the ACT point standings, being lapped by Purvis. He falls in right behind him. That was a tough break for Gill because he wants to get by Purvis. Now he's got to get by McDonald first.
Randy McDonald, number 01, offering an international flavor to this event. As Benny said, he hails from the province of Ontario. It's Purvis, Seneker, Bickle, Chaffin, and Steele back after these messages. Second caution period of the race is out here at Nashville. There's the car involved, number 46, driven by Joe Manning. Obviously a flat left rear. He spun over in turn number 2, and that has put the field under caution now for the second time. And here is what a lot of drivers have been waiting for, an opportunity to duck into the pits, get on some fresh rubber. Here comes 51 Jeff Purvis and 84 Bob Seneker, the first and second positions at the moment.
You see Rich Bickle sitting on pit road. He came in just a few laps ago and has been in the pits for a long, long time. So he has serious problems. And once again, 35 miles per hour. These cars got to go down pit road. John Kernan, they're there.
Jeff Purvis is pulled in. Seneker pulls into his pit. They go to work on the right side of the car. Seneker on the bottom of your screen. Purvis on the top. We're anticipating a 4-tire change. Now, something different from Winston Cup. These teams and crews are limited to just 2 air wrenches. In other words, they've got to use the 2 air wrenches on the right side, then come around to the left side. As you see, another car, the 53 car, Scott Hansen, is out. Also, Tim Steele heads down pit road. Work still being done here in Jeff Purvis's pit. Seneker has left the pit. 51 still sitting here, waiting a 4-tire change. They're having a little bit of a problem getting the leg rest tight on that left rear. Now he kills the car momentarily, and they will push it and start it, get the engine refired, and go on their way.
Well, Jeff Purvis certainly lost a lot of track position. He comes out side by side with Jody Ridley. Scott Hansen was the one that won the battle off of pit road. And we have a car that's dragging a can of fuel as it goes into turn number 1. The 16 car, driven by Hal Goodson, is trailing a fuel can behind it.
There we see the fuel can, and there's all the gas going out on the racetrack. That's not funny. You know, Goodson's got to come back in the pits and get the can disconnected.
Hal from Darlington, South Carolina.
This is a graduate of the Citadel College in Business Administration, but his father said all he wants to do is drive a race car. There's his dad in the checkerboard shirt.
Still under caution here, and there is the leader, the number 53 car, driven by Scott Hansen, as we reline them and get set to go again at Nashville. Hope you're enjoying our coverage of the NASCAR Winston All-Pro Series All-American 400 from Nashville Motor Raceway. Due to time constraints, we move ahead in our coverage. Glad you could join us for the Super Bowl of short track racing, the All-American 400 from Nashville, Tennessee. Scott Hansen leader. Oh, look at Bob Seneker come out of nowhere.
Here he comes on the outside. Ooh, almost contact coming off the 4th corner. Ned and I got excited, tried to talk at the same time.
Yeah, I'll tell you, he did, Bob, come out of nowhere. He had been gaining. Hampton had moved out to a pretty good lead, and Seneker had been gaining on him. But, boy, the last lap or so there, he just jumped up there and took off.
So now Bob Seneker has the lead. Scott Hansen is back in 2nd position. I wonder if maybe something happened to Hansen's car, John.
Well, Bob, you know they changed just right side tires. I just talked to Howie Leto, the crew chief on Hansen's car. He says that the car's just gotten very, very loose right now. So they're going to ride it out. They may take on 4 tires for their next pit stop.
Boy, this has to be a real question mark is what you do during pit stops. Do you take on 4 tires? Do you just take on 2? And that often can lead to running up front at the end and not.
There we see Bobby Gill, who made that unscheduled pit stop. He's a lap down now, but here comes Seneker. He's closing up on him. And I tell you what, we don't even see Hansen anywhere in the picture. He is dropping back dramatically.
Chad Chaffin is running in 2nd position in the 93 car. What a great run for this young man. And in 3rd place is Darrell Waltrip. 4th is Jeff Purvis.
And Jeff Purvis is the only one that we saw that took on 4 tires. So he was pretty far back in the field, but has worked his way back to 4th now.
Interesting comment from Darrell Waltrip yesterday when asked what his strategy is for this race. And you know how Darrell always sort of lays back in the first half of the race in Winston Cup competition and makes a charge for the end? Well, Darrell said in this race, his problem in previous years has been not running fast enough, soon enough, not getting to the front and being there, but Waltrip is at the moment. And look at the battle between Chapin and Bob Seneker.
This is for the lead of the race.
The Tennessee boys want to get out front.
And I tell you, he's brought a rooting section here, this young man in green has. And he's got the lead. How about that?
And here's Darrell Waltrip, another Tennessee fellow. And another Tennessee guy right behind him, Jeff Purvis.
I'm telling you, Seneker is being ran over by Tennesseans.
Here comes Purvis. Purvis is now third. Seneker's back to fourth.
You know, Ned, I wouldn't be surprised if Darrell Waltrip did change 4 tires on his pit stop, because last night at dinner we saw a couple of his pit crew, his Winston Cup crew. So he's got his regular crew here. They could change 4 tires. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't, in fact, change 4 tires.
You might have. We couldn't see everybody because everybody was in the pits, about 20 of them at the same time. We couldn't watch every one of them.
Here is the pass for the lead. Chad Chapin on the inside and Seneker on the outside. Watch his hand inside the car.
Yeah, he's going to wave to Seneker, I think.
Yeah, he did.
Sticks it out the window.
He's telling the crew, guys, we are up front in the All-American 400.
What a thrill for that young man to pass Bob Seneker and be leading Darrell Waltrip and Jeff Purvis. In a young man's racing career, you can't ask for more than that.
Well, here's a guy trying to win a championship. The 71, black 71, Bobby Gill, about to go a lap down.
Have to go 2 laps down.
I mean, I'm sorry,
yeah,
2
he
laps.
was 2 laps down, and he'd gotten one of those back, but now about to lose it back.
Chapin puts a lap on him. Boy, look at this traffic. Back of the leaders. That's McDonald in 01.
Jason Keller in 32.
That's Jason Keller in the 57. Mike Garvey in the 32, I believe.
Casey Elliott, of course, in 94.
Randy McDonald, 01. And Scott Hansen is all the way back to this group. Remember, he was the leader just a few laps ago.
Blue car is Raines in 37. And the car on the outside is Billy Bigley Jr., that green and black number 28. Good battle here between Keller and Garvey.
Garvey goes to the inside, takes that spot away.
And now the leader begins to get into some traffic. Top 3 running right together on the racetrack, and they're lapping some of the slower traffic. Now they've worked their way clear of traffic, and it's smooth sailing for Chapin for the next couple of laps.
What do you think this kid feels like when he looks up in the rearview mirror and sees Darrell Waltrip on his bumper?
A 3-time NASCAR Winston Cup champion. And
Man, what a thrill.
yeah, it's got to be a big thrill for him.
Chapin continues to lead here at Nashville Motor Raceway in the All-American 400. Over Darrell Waltrip and Jeff Purvis. Bob Seneker is back in 4th, and Jody Ridley has moved up to 5th position. Remember, Bobby Gill is 2 laps down. Welcome back to Nashville, where Chad Chapin continues to lead this event, pursued closely by Darrell Waltrip and Jeff Purvis.
Purvis trying to go on the outside of Waltrip. Couldn't make the pass stick.
Chapin maintaining about a car length and a half or so advantage on Darrell Waltrip. Darrell closing in now just a little as they go into the first and second corners.
He sure did, didn't he?
Yeah, he closed in on that turn. And moves up a little bit close.
Oh! Man, oh, man.
He almost lost it coming up the corner and lost both spots. Lost first and second. He's back to 3rd now.
Wow, Waltrip and Purvis both go around, but Chapin did a nice job just maintaining control of that car. He was sideways coming off the second corner.
He really did, and Darrell also did a good job to have the presence of mind to shoot up on the outside and not make contact with him, because it wouldn't have taken much contact till he was spun him out.
So the dream for the moment is over for Chapin as he loses the lead. John, he did a great job, though, while it lasted.
Yeah, I tell you what, you should have seen all the guys, Tony Formosa and the crew down here. They were, whenever that happened, they really had an anxious moment, but he managed to save the car. Tony says it was just a matter that he was just too excited. He was driving the car a little too hard. He's told him to back it off now. Learn a little bit. Follow Purvis and Darrell Waltrip. A lot of laps here. Now, you were talking about where did he come from? Well, hey, he is a local guy. Tony says they've been working on the race setup for this race all summer long. So they are prepared, and they tell me they're getting the best tire wear on pit road.
I think we're seeing a future champion at work here today. Here are the top 5 after 147 laps. It's Waltrip now in the lead, followed by Purvis, Chapin, Seneker, and Jody Ridley. Caution for debris, and we did have a spin down in turn number 2. That involved Daniel Keene. But now we are set to go back to racing.
Keene had moved up to 5th place, but he's dropped back in the field now, and green flag ready to roll again.
NASCAR also black flag Keene for improving his position on this caution flag, so he had to go to the back of the field. And Jeff Purvis, look what a jump he got on Waltrip.
Man, oh man, he just drove away from Waltrip and the others.
Man, Purvis said, see you guys.
Yeah, just before the caution came out, Purvis had gotten around Darrell Waltrip and was taken off.
Chapin remains in 3rd. They're in number 93. Those 2 cars between Waltrip and Chapin are lap cars.
That's Randy McDonald, the black 01, the Canadian.
The other one is Larry Raines in 37.
And back in the pack, here's Jody Ridley trying to take over 4th position from Bob Seneker.
And he did it. He's number 98 is Ridley, 84 is Seneker, our pole sitter. Here comes Bobby Gill.
Now, he put on 4 new tires during that caution period, and his car should be fast right now. He's still 2 laps down, unfortunately.
Gill had a flat tire earlier in the race that cost him 2 laps and has never been able to get either of them back. But he goes to the high side of Seneker here on his march to the front. Now we're going to see the 2 drivers in contention for the championship running side by side on the racetrack. Gill in 71 on the outside and Jody Ridley in 98 on the inside.
But not for long, Bob, because with 4 new tires, Gill will just motor right on by.
Does go by Jody Ridley. Now he dives on the inside of Chapin. Is it Chapin? Chapin.
Chapin. Oh, short A.
All right, Chapin.
Chad.
Yeah, that's right. There you go.
Look at Gill go. Goes by Raines' car. There's David Green, the white number 7, and Garrett Evans in the blue 46, all the way from Washington State here.
Now, what city does he live in, Benny?
Wenatchee.
Very good.
Hey.
Wenatchee, Washington. Garrett Evans, 2nd in the NASCAR Northwest Tour Series.
And Bob, the guy who won the last Western All-Pro Series race, Tim Steele, has just pulled his car behind the pit wall.
Now, Darrell Waltrip looks like he's not up to speed. These guys going by Waltrip on the outside.
Bobby Gill goes around.
Well, now, those 2 cars, the 7 car of Green and Gill, both made pit stops and took on tires during this latest caution.
I guess that's why they're going by Waltrip so well. Oh, there's some smoke.
Car in the wall is Evans. Garrett Evans, the guy we just talked about from Wenatchee, Washington, has hit the wall in turn 4.
The left rear tire is flat on that car.
Yep.
He'll drive it away. Boy, what a long haul from Washington State. Here's the tail end of it.
There we see we can see some smoke as the car, oh, he hits it with the front. Now, how in the world did that happen?
Car just took off toward the outside wall. 3 wins in Northwest Tour competition for Garrett Evans back in his home area, but bad luck here at Nashville. A Beautiful sunny afternoon in Nashville, Tennessee, and we restart the All-American 400. Green comes out on lap 173. It's Jeff Purvis out in front.
Casey Elliott down on the inside of him trying to get a lap back, Bob.
And of course, Bobby Gill is right there also in the black 71 trying to get his lap back.
One of his laps back.
John Kernan has a report on the pit stops that were held during this most recent caution.
Well, we thought for a moment that Jeff Purvis made pit, but his crew, Gary Ballou, the crew chief, decided at the last moment to leave him out there. Why not? They were the only team to take on 4 tires during that first round of pit stops. I was surprised Darrell Waltrip didn't come on pit road. He took on only right side tires about some 70, 80 laps ago. But Bob Seneker, who had run so well in the early portions of the race, he did come in. Last time he had taken on only right side tires. They thought that was a mistake, so this time Seneker and company decided to go for a 4-tire change so he could fight his way through traffic. He may be a car to be reckoned with before the day's over.
Here comes Gill.
Yep, about to get one of his 2 lost laps back.
He's trying. Purvis is not having any of it.
Jody Ridley also stopped during this latest caution and took on right side tires.
All right, Gill now is 1 lap down in the tail end of the other lap.
Or is he on the lead lap? Information from scoring indicates he may be on the tail end of the lead lap. We'll check that out. I didn't see him get back one of his 2 lost laps, but maybe he did. We'll check it out for you. In any case, Purvis maintains the advantage in car number 51. He is on the lead lap, guys. Well,
I don't know how he got it back, but more power to him.
right.
That's good.
Well, it's good for him because it does put him back in a much better position to battle for the championship now with Jody Ridley.
And we can see just how easily he's pulled away from Jeff Purvis.
There's Bob Seneker. There is quite a lot of racetrack between the leader and second place for that matter, and then there's even more racetrack between second and Bob Seneker.
There's 3 of our leaders that we've had in this race so far. The 93, the green and yellow car, Chad Chaffin. I'll get it right eventually. And the 1 car also led this race, and Bob Seneker has led the race.
Well, Chapin is being shown in the 5th position. He made a pit stop.
There's Waltrip.
Pressured by Steve Holzhausen. Steve goes up on the outside of him, takes the spot away. Darrell's in 5th place. I guess he was just figuring there's going to be another caution flex pretty soon. I'll stop and change tires then. Scott Hansen is a 5th place car.
He's beside Larry Raines.
Took his turn leading this race earlier on. We saw the black number 3, Dave Mader, go through the picture. There he is, right in front of Scott Hansen.
Once in a while drive.
And trouble over in turn 2.
Oh, a big crash over in turn 2, and it involves Garrett Evans again, who brought out the most recent before this caution up in turn number 4, and now he is on top of Daniel Keene's car, 05.
The fellow who started 3rd place, that red 05.
Now this is going to help Bobby Gill as he goes all the way around now. He had just passed the leader not too long ago.
Let's see how this situation developed. Well, Garrett's car was already on top of Keene when our cameras picked it up at the bottom of turn number 2.
And it never came off.
Never came off.
Stayed right up there.
Yep, still up there. Tow vehicle's going to have to go over and get this mess sorted out.
Flagman saying just keep them straight,
And
keep them in line.
This is the 5th time today that the caution has blown. The field is going to stop just before the accident. Now they're letting the cars on the high side of the racetrack go by, but the bottom side is blocked, and that's where Purvis and Crawford are.
Meanwhile, our leader, Jeff Purvis, was blocked from getting through.
Now he's going to get through.
All the fielders went by.
Here's a look at the top 10 now. It's Purvis, Jason Keller, Dave Mader III, Scott Hansen, and Steve Holzhausen. 6 through 10, Darrell Waltrip, Jody Ridley, Dick Trickle, Gary Bradbury, and Mike Garvey. Now, as they got the accident cleaned up over there in turn number 2, here's how the top 5 in points were running. Bobby Gill, the points leader, 14th. Ridley, 6th. Billy Bigley Jr., 13th. Bradbury was 8th, and Garvey, 9th. The green flag comes out. We are back to racing. And we're very close to the halfway point.
And there is no Gillette halfway challenge today.
No, but you guys had a good idea. What were you going to do?
Well, then I was going to go out and buy us a Geo, about an 86 with 100,000 miles on it, and give it away. But logistically, it'd be tough, so we decided not to do it.
Car number 14 of Rick Crawford trying to get around Purvis to get one of his laps back.
And he is many, many laps down. He stopped earlier.
Trying to sneak to the inside of Purvis. 4th turn. Second place, Jason Keller. Finished in 4th position here last year.
Matter of fact, I'm told he's 68 laps down.
Oh, my goodness. Well, this one won't make much difference then.
No, Purvis would do well just to move over and let it go, which he did.
There is Jason Keller running in 2nd place. Had a good run here last year, finishing in 4th. The black number 3, driven by Dave Mader III, is in 3rd position. His teammate.
Right behind him is the car number 53, who has been up front, Scott Hansen.
There's Hansen in 53.
There's David Green in the white number 7.
I think David's a lap down.
Yes, he is.
Yep. John Kernan has a report on Scott Hansen.
You know, it's almost remarkable that Scott is even here back on June 20th in a race in Grand Rapids, Wisconsin. He broke his left leg. The doctor told him it would take about 6 months to heal. Went back this week and he said, hey, you're 2 months ahead of schedule. He decided to go racing. He says the only problem being a race car driver, that the rehabilitation that he would go through normally for an injury such as that, like a football player would after a broken leg, doesn't really help him to get ready to get back in a race car. He says the only test is, the only true preparation is to get in there and race. So that's what he is doing today. Although he did tell me he had some concern that he'd be able to hold up physically for the full 400 laps, but he looks pretty good right now.
Sure does, and it's amazing what a mental attitude can do when you're injured and how much you want to get back in the race car. He's 2 months ahead of schedule. We're talking about Scott Hansen. There is Jody Ridley in car number 98.
He would be the champion if the race were to end now. As we said just a moment ago, he's currently in about 6th place. There's Dick Trickle, the white 09, right in the center of your picture. The Factory Stores of America car. That's a Ford. Some kind of pottery outlet, as I'm told, is the Factory Stores. He's trying to go by Jody Ridley. Well, these guys have raced many, many times throughout their careers. There goes Trickle. He's on the inside. Takes his spot away.
And once again, Ridley is not going to challenge him too much.
Well, he's trying to win the war.
And if the race were to end right now, Ridley would have the championship by 5 points. Boy, Jeff Purvis has just checked out. He is pulling away from Keller, Mader, Hansen, Holzhausen, and the others in the All-American 400. Back in a moment. Trackbacks are brought to you by Quaker State. The Big Q is one tough motor oil.
It used to be we didn't see a lot of Fords on this series. One of the reasons why the Fords were down just a little bit on horsepower as compared to the GM products. Well, NASCAR allows Ford to use a bigger carburetor, a 600 carburetor. Now, this is the tool, the 390, which is used to measure the GM products, and you can see it fits very, very easily into the Ford carburetor while we put it into the 390 carburetor. You can see it's a very snug fit. Now, the reason this gives an advantage to the Fords, it allows more fuel-air mixture down into the engine, which gives them a little more horsepower. But both carburetors have to have the 390 base plate. Now that turns this carburetor into a 450. It's an advantage that a lot of the GM teams say the Ford teams do not need now, because the Ford engineers have done their homework and they are up on horsepower. So it could be a rule that we see disappear next year.
And it is Bobby Gill who is picking up positions quickly. Whoa. He and Darrell Waltrip running side by side. Gill picked up several positions here just in the last few laps, passing Jody Ridley, but it looked like that the car had a problem there just after he did so. Now this could be the pass that decides the championship.
Well, they come up on Jody Ridley, and Gill goes on the inside, makes the pass. Darrell Waltrip comes along, goes down on the inside as well. Darrell don't care anything about points. He's not in the battle, not in this series at least.
And there goes Seneca. Earlier leader. Oh, big piece of debris on the racetrack.
I should say there is. What is that? One of the
looks like one of the lights.
Yeah.
Sure does.
Like it's just fallen onto the racetrack and broken apart. I don't think I've ever seen that. There it is. It's right up against the wall. It's not in the groove, but looks like cars are...
Someone has hit the wall and knocked it off.
Yep, right in the middle of the backstretch.
I bet NASCAR doesn't know it's there.
Well, this ought to create a caution when and if they are aware of it. They aren't in the moment, so the green flag remains out. Darrell Waltrip running along with number 4 car driven by Ron Young. There's Gill in 71 and Seneca in 84.
Caution is out now.
Finally, the caution flag is out.
And that is the reason for the caution. One of the caution lights that warns the drivers when there is a caution on the racetrack has fallen onto the track, presumably, we feel, because a car hit it. So they're going to have to get out there and clean it up. Near capacity crowd on hand here at Nashville Motor Raceway as we take a look at our AutoZone race summary. Jeff Purvis leading 150 of the first 220 laps. 5 caution periods, total of 35 circuits, 15 cars currently on the lead lap, and the average speed is a little over 80.5 miles an hour. They're the cars that have dropped out of competition. Attrition quite high here in the first little more than half of the race. And the drivers that have led at least one lap, 6 of them in all. Now the current top 10, Jason Keller is the leader, Scott Hansen second, then Darrell Waltrip, Bob Seneca, and Dave Mader the third. 6 through 10, Hal Goodson, Steve Holzhausen, Jody Ridley, Billy Bigley Jr., and Jeff Purvis. That's after 242 of the first 400 laps. Now, Jeff Purvis was running away with things before the caution. What happened was he had to make a second pit stop because of a loose hood pin, and so he is way back there in the lineup as we get set to go green once again.
And see that red car on the inside of the racetrack? That's Daniel Keene. Remember, what, 30, 40 laps ago when he was involved in that crash going off turn 2? That car is still running.
Yeah, Garrett Evans' car got up on top of that one, but Daniel Keene in the number 05 red car is still in the race. Keller takes off at the drop of the green flag in that car number 57.
Randy McDonald trying to go by Scott Hansen. McDonald's a lap down, but that's helping our leader, Jason Keller. There comes Darrell Waltrip, the orange and white car. He's the third place car coming into our picture.
McDonald continuing to run alongside of Hansen in the number 53 car as Waltrip watches.
And McDonald gets by Scott Hansen.
And Dave Mader is pulled up on the back bumper of Darrell Waltrip, almost on the back bumper. There he comes at flag number 3 is Mader.
Well, you just knew that Dave Mader III would be a factor in this race despite his problems in terms of where he started. He had a crash in his qualifying event yesterday, but right up there in the thick of things now. And we're watching Jeff Purvis, and look at the massive amount of traffic that's beside him and in front of him as he tries to make his way toward the front and get into the lead where he was for many, many laps.
Just doesn't have much running room there, though, Bob. He's up on the outside. He has fresh tires on the car, and it's been fast all day long, but he just doesn't have anywhere to go.
That's right. He's at the mercy of these fellas. When they go, he'll go with them, but right now, he just has to follow. Chad Chapin has had some trouble in that 93 car, the green and yellow car. He's made several pit stops, but he is some laps down.
After being one of our leaders earlier, now here comes Purvis moving to the outside of Mike Garvey in car number 32. Ahead, meanwhile, a side-by-side battle going on.
That's Hal Goodson and the 8 car, Steve Holshausen.
That is a battle for position.
And Holshausen is on the inside, takes that spot away.
Here comes Billy Bigley Jr. in the black and green number 28 to battle with Hal Goodson. As Chapin works the high side of the racetrack, and so does Jeff Purvis.
Chapin, I believe, or Chapin is 1 lap down, Bob. He got lapped when he had a set of tires that just didn't work too good for him, and he got a lap down, but now the car seems to be running good again.
And now Darrell Waltrip in car number 17 is beginning to feel a little bit of heat from Mader in number 3. They passed Daniel Keene in that 05 car. Mader really closing in. Look at him go up top.
He sure is. And Waltrip has made a pit stop just a few laps ago, changed some tires, so he ought to be good to go.
There's Jody Ridley. You had a brief look at him in his quest for the NASCAR Winston All-Pro Championship.
There's on the very right side of the screen is Jody Ridley. There's Jason Keller, and look right behind him is Randy McDonald trying to get one of his laps back. Or maybe the only lap.
Yeah, he's been trying for several laps and hasn't been able to get it done, but don't think he's going to this. Well, yeah, maybe he is. Sure is. Yeah, Randy McDonald gets a lap back in the 01 car. But Jason Keller continues to lead this All-American 400. We'll be right back. We welcome you back to Nashville Motor Raceway in Tennessee, where the All-American 400 is well past the halfway point. We're watching a battle between Darrell Waltrip in car number 17 and Dave Mader III in number 3. Also, Bob Seneker and Jody Ridley are right in there.
Darrell's in 3rd right now, Mader 4th, and Seneker in 5th, and Jody Ridley in 6th. Then Seneker spins.
Might have been tapped by Jody Ridley, car number 98.
Chad Chapin is involved, and several are. There's Bobby Gill in 71. He has front-end damage. And the only lane available is at the very top of the racetrack as 5, 6, 7 cars involved in this incident in turn 1. Here it is again.
Ridley down on the inside just taps the car number 84, Bob Seneker, and around they go. Their traffic was so heavy there, yeah, and everybody just running into that corner at the same time, it looked like.
And now watch Bobby Gill come through.
And therefore that 4 car, Ron Young, climbs up on the top of another car.
Wow, here it is from our turn 1 camera. Now watch Bobby Gill come through. There he is sideways. And gets run up over. Was that Young?
That's Ron Young in the 32 car. He ran up on top of the 32 car of Mike Garvey.
Wow, a lot of bent sheet metal. Gill has the car moving, however. That's good news. John Kernan is down there on pit road.
I tell you, how much is this guy going to have to go through today to try and win this championship? Bobby Gill has been into the pits now. He's back out. We expect him back in one more time. A lot of front-end damage. They pushed some of that sheet metal up near the radiator. He's told his crew that he's having an overheating problem, so they're going to try and cut some of that metal away. They're waiting for Bobby to get back on pit road. They still hope that they can pull this championship out.
Well, Jody Ridley, of course, was also involved in that. I don't think his car, though, was damaged as much as Bobby Gill.
No, he pulled away. He made a 360 and pulled away.
And here is Gill back on pit road as the crew goes to work trying to salvage that championship. And the cleanup being completed down in turn number 1. Let's take a look at the top 10 standings now with 273 laps completed. It's Keller, Hansen, Waltrip, Dave Mader III, Billy Bigley Jr. the top 5. 6 through 10, Bob Seneker, Jody Ridley, Randy McDonald is back on the lead lap. Dick Trickle is 9th, and Purvis has moved up to 10th. Don't count him out yet. Field getting realigned now for a restart. Pace car pulls in, and we'll go back to green on lap 275. There'll be 125 to go.
11 cars on the lead lap. Bobby Gill is in the 11th position.
That's Keller in the black number 57. That is your leader, but right behind him is Hansen now, and Waltrip was working up on the top side.
Waltrip trying to get by some of those slow cars. We'll see David Green in the white 7.
Dave Mater the third is right there in the other black and green car, number 3.
David Green in the car number 7 is 1 lap down in 12th position, trying to move up. Maybe get himself back in the lead. He goes around him.
Sure does, with ease on the inside.
Meanwhile, those cars racing for 4th and 5th looked almost identical. That's Mater.
And Billy Bigley Jr. Bigley now goes outside of Mater.
As Mater tries to go on the inside of Darrell Waltrip.
Good racing here for 3rd position. Mater, Waltrip, and look who's back in the hunt for the championship. Jody Ridley, who was involved in that incident down in turn number 1, but not as seriously as Bobby Gill was.
So Darrell Waltrip just lost 2 positions in the last lap. Start completing someone as he gets in line.
Now here comes Ridley looking to the inside of Darrell.
Darrell's car really moving up in the turns. That's uncharacteristic of his cars and certainly of his driving style.
The 37 car, Larry Raines, lap down. He's 3 laps down. There goes Ridley.
Yep. He's alongside of Darrell and will come out of the corner with that position.
And here comes Randy McDonald. Remember, just a few laps ago, he was trying to get a lap back.
He's a good little race driver, the Canadian, all the way down to Nashville, Tennessee for this All-American 400.
He races all summer in the American-Canadian Tour up in the northeastern part of the United States and Canada. Finished second in those point standings.
He won 4 races this year, Randy did, in the ACT Series.
Bobby Gill is still out there running. He made numerous pit stops after getting caught up in that wreck, Bob. And you can see they've taken the front end off the car, but he's running pretty good.
I guess aerodynamics don't mean a whole lot here at Nashville. Here's John Kernan.
I guess not. You guys need some spare parts for your cars. We've got the nose. They took the entire nose front air dam off of here. Look at this. We got a piece of the right front fender. Got almost the entire left front fender there. There's another piece of the right front. We've got ductwork down here. I tell you what, I think maybe got a lot of fans standing around. I'm going to see if I can collect a little cash money by auctioning this stuff off as souvenirs. But they told me, they said, you know, there was another driver they remember, 20 years or so, who won a championship in Winston Cup with, what, half a race car or something like that? Do you guys recall who that was?
Yeah, I remember something about that, and I was just about to mention that. But Benny Parsons, that car is going to look almost as bad as yours when you won that championship.
Yeah, you're right. I had a terrible crash in 1973 trying to win a championship. But went on to win the thing, so.
Well, now running first, second, and third are Keller, Bigley, and Mater. There's Hansen in 53.
He's a 4th place car.
And there is the interval between 4th and 1st as Jason Keller is the leader here in the All-American 400 with just a little more than 100 laps to go. Back in a moment. You're enjoying our coverage of the NASCAR Winston All-Pro Series All-American 400 from Nashville Motor Raceway. Due to time constraints, we move ahead in our coverage. We are under our 9th caution of the day. Larry Raines' car just stopped, and he parked it up against the outside wall in turn number 4. That caused the caution and caused a lot of action on pit road. Billy Bigley Jr. on top, Jason Keller on the bottom, as both of these first and second place cars got 4 new tires for what could be the run to the checkered flag. We saw the number 09 car driven by Dick Trickle come out. Darrell Waltrip was right behind. Then came Ridley. Bob Sineker's car still on pit road. Finally, he came out, as did Billy Bigley Jr. in car number 28. Now, the 01 car, driven by McDonald, did not come in for a pit stop, and so he's going to be the leader as we go back to green.
Yes, and neither did Dave Mater in the car number 3. Don't know why. Maybe they're saving their tires a little bit, maybe the 40 or 50 laps to go, but Green is out.
And David Green and McDonald get together going down the front straight. Look how high McDonald goes. And look at all the cars going by him.
Loses first, second, and third. The lead now is Dave Mater, the third, and McDonald is falling way back.
I bet he has a tire going down.
And now here's Darrell Waltrip going to the front.
And here comes Jody Ridley trying to win a championship, going into second place.
Dave Mater third, followed by Jason Keller, and then Billy Bigley Jr.
There comes Keller, there comes Bigley. Tell you what, those
The good thing those numbers are clearly visible, or we'd have problems because they're all painted identically. Seneca has positioned himself between Bigley and Mater.
Well, I tell you what, never has two cars needed to stop change tires like Dave Mater and McDonald.
Makes a world of difference. McDonald's still out there running. I thought he might have had a flat, but I guess just those old tires didn't adhere.
Ooh, look out, look out, look out. They both saved it. Wow. That was Ridley and Jason Keller that got together.
And that was close, very, very close to being some pretty serious deal. Here comes Keller again, trying to get on the inside. Bob Seneca, our pole sitter, we're going to see how strong he is. Now there goes Keller again, trying to get on the inside of...
Oh, he's got some damage. Got some bodywork flapping there on the Keller car. Here comes Seneca to the outside.
Trying to go by these guys on the outside.
And again, I believe some contact coming off the fourth corner. And there is a piece of that bodywork
on the track.
Yep, a piece of the body came off the car at the end of the backstretch.
Well, I'll bet McDonald and Dave Mater will come in for some tires now. We'll see.
There's the debris on the racetrack that has brought out another caution here in Nashville. So Darrell Waltrip is now back out front. Jody Ridley is second, then Keller, Seneca, and Billy Bigley Jr. 6 through 10, Purvis, Dave Mater III, Randy McDonald, Dick Trickle, and Bobby Gill. 328 laps have been completed, and we're getting set to go back to racing.
And sure enough, McDonald and Mater did come in for tires during this caution.
Darrell Waltrip is out front, looking for the green flag once again on lap number 330. There are 70 laps to go in the All-American 400. Jody Ridley is in second position right there behind Waltrip. And for you David Green fans, he is back on the lead lap. Here's Ridley.
He just came off of turn 2 and just almost run under Darrell going into turn 3. Darrell must have slipped a little, didn't get off turn 2, and Ridley had good traction and just almost shot up the side. Look at Ridley come off of that turn. He really is getting off turn 2. Much better than Darrell.
Everything is about even. The tires are about even. All these cars on the lead lap have about the same tires on them. So now it's just a matter of whose car is faster than the rest.
Well, after David Green got back on the lead lap just before the last caution, that makes 12 cars still on the lead lap.
It's pretty amazing after 335 laps or so.
It is.
They're the top three, Waltrip, Ridley, and Keller. Running in second position, and his crew is anxiously awaiting the end of this race, because if they can stay there in second position and Bobby Gill can stay 3-4 positions behind, Ridley will have himself an all-pro championship.
Right now I think Gill is in about 8 spots, so the championship would be Ridley's. Here comes Bob Seneca up into the equation.
Yeah, he's just been quietly staying. He's been in the top 10 about all afternoon, led for a while, but he's...
And look who else is right there.
Exactly. A little white car sneaking in the picture, Jeff Purvis. Seneca was thinking about trying to pass Keller on the outside. Not making a lot of headway at that. Maybe this time he'll get a run at it. Coming off the corner.
Seneca moves alongside in turn 1 of Jason Keller.
That's pretty impressive, guys.
Ooh, they touched coming off the corner, but Seneca, I believe, is going to take 3rd place from Jason. He hasn't yet. Now he has.
He has now. If he can go down to the inside, his spotter should say, go down, Bob, go down.
Now we're watching Jeff Purvis alongside Keller.
Now, Seneca trying to get by Ridley.
Purvis has passed Keller meanwhile. And Purvis moves to 4th position. There's Waltrip. 2nd place Ridley, then Seneca, Purvis, and Jason Keller. Then comes Billy Bigley Jr. and Bobby Gill. Gill is not running up with the other 6 cars.
And you know that Ridley wants to stay in front of this group of cars. If he backs up to about 6th place and Gill stays 8th, then Gill would be the champion.
Darrell Waltrip from nearby Franklin, Tennessee, in the Western Auto Car has the lead of the All-American 400 with 60 laps to go. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Continues here at Nashville. The lead continues to be held by Darrell Waltrip, and now here comes Jeff Purvis passing Seneca. Purvis is going to 3rd.
What a great pass that Purvis pulled off over 1 and 2.
Look at him now as he challenges Jody Ridley for 2nd position. Purvis led so many laps in the mid part of this event. Had a bad pit stop, had to make an extra pit stop, as a matter of fact, because of a loose hood pin. And he's been all this time coming back toward the front.
And he ran out of racetrack coming off of turn 2 over there.
He really did.
Had to back off.
Boy, he's taking a close look at Jody Ridley. And as we indicated, really doesn't want to lose any position, because that just means a few less points that may mean the difference between himself and a championship.
Well, since we talked about Gill being in 8th position, he has lost 2 to Dave Mader and Randy McDonald. Both went around him, so that gives Ridley a little bit more cushion.
Well, Ridley just lost 2 positions too, because both Purvis and Seneca have passed him, and now here comes Jason Keller.
And Billy Bigley, so
this could be the championship right here for Jody.
he's got to stop the bleeding. He's got to get this car running. Save some of these spots.
Right now, there are 4 cars between he and Bobby Gill, so that's enough to give him the championship if it could stay that way.
By just a point or 2, he would win by just a couple of points.
This thing is going to go right down to the checkered flag. Here comes Gill. He has a very banged-up race car, to say the least.
And there's Dick Trickle right behind him trying to take that spot away.
Now, Ridley's people down in the pits are hoping that Dick Trickle does take that spot away, because that's another 4 points or so. One of the cars that was on the lead lap, car number 53, is apparently out of the race. He has taken it to the garage. That's Scott Hansen.
Hansen has been running in the top 10 just about all afternoon, but now drops out of competition.
Jason Keller still trying to get by Ridley. Here's Billy Bigley.
4th, 5th, and 6th right here.
You see the right front fender on Jason Keller's car is a little bit loose.
And you can see up there on the left of the screen, there it is. Jeff Purvis has caught Darrell Waltrip. He wants the lead.
And I think he's going to get it, too. He pulls outside of Darrell. They come off corner number 4. Waltrip will lead that lap. But now Purvis challenges once again on the outside of turns 1 and 2. Gets a good bite coming off that corner. He's a half a car length ahead of Darrell. Doesn't appear as if the car is working as well in the 3rd and 4th turns as it is in the 1st and 2nd, but he is just a bumper ahead when they cross the line of that lap, and now Purvis has the lead.
Jeff Purvis, a young man who won this race last year, back in front with just a few laps to go.
Meanwhile, back behind them, Bobby Gill has lost 2 more positions. Dick Trickle and David Green have both moved around him. So that gives Trickle a little bit more cushion. If those 2 cars had been battling him, should get around him, it wouldn't change that point situation. He could still win the championship.
And there we see Jody Ridley in the blue number 98. And we got to go back all these cars. There we see the Dick Trickle and David Green cars that Ned talked about. And there is Bobby Gill.
He's in 11th place.
Last car on the lead lap.
Ridley is in 4th. There's the leader, Jeff Purvis. 2nd place Waltrip and 3rd place Seneca.
Yeah, Seneca is quietly moving up on those 2 leaders.
Don't think we can count him out.
There are Chevrolets up front. The Ford of Seneca in 3rd.
There are about 45 more laps to go. Here's Keller and Ridley once again.
He'll get him this time. Ridley went a little high. That gave Keller the opening that he was looking for.
Battle for 4th. Keller comes out with it.
Meanwhile, Billy Big is going to try to take that spot away.
I think Ridley will let him too if they don't have to fight him too hard, because he knows his crew, I'm sure, have told him that a couple more cars have passed Bobby Gill back there, so he still has the cushion. If the race should end right now, he could still win the championship.
Ridley is back to 6th now.
And Gill is 11th, so that's 5 spots at 15 points. That means Ridley would win the championship by 4 points. If everything stays this way. There's Gill. And you see the front end gone off Gill's car. That happened earlier in the race. That can happen any lap to anyone.
It's amazing that he's still in the lead lap, still has a good shot at
Mater just quit.
His car just quit now. Car's going again. The car is going again now.
Came down the straightaway, almost stopped, and now it's having trouble down the backstretch.
This might be the break that Gill needs. No, that's just 1 position. He needs to pick up 2 positions.
What could be wrong with that car?
I don't know, something ignition, I guess.
Probably ignition.
Look how it just dies coming off the corner. And then when it goes down the straightaway, it'll pick up again.
Could be something in the fuel pickup, maybe. But he was in the pits during the last caution, so I'm sure they put fuel in it.
So right now, Jody Ridley would win the championship by 1 point.
Wow.
If it stays the same.
Don't go away, folks. There's a lot more racing to go and a championship at stake here at the All-American 400 at Nashville Motor Raceway. Just 16 laps remain in the All-American 400. The top 5, Jeff Purvis, Bob Seneca, Jason Keller, Darrell Waltrip, and Billy Bigley Jr. There's the leader, Jeff Purvis, with a very comfortable advantage on 2nd place at the moment. Now the 2 contenders for the All-Pro Championship. Ridley is in 7th, Gill is in 10th. If the race were to end right now, Jody Ridley will be the champion for the second straight year.
Yeah, folks, I've been telling you that it was 3 points per position back 6th through 10th. That's not correct. It's 4 points per position. Right now, Jody would gain 12 points and win the championship by 1. But he can't afford to lose another position. Gill needs to pick up 1 more position for him to win.
Seneker is second. Coming up on him is Jason Keller.
He's had a great run today, Jason Keller has.
Now we continue to pan on back and find Darrell Waltrip next in the scoring. He's 4th. Led for a while, dropped back to 4th. Now there is Bobby Gill. He has been lapped, but Ned, it really didn't mean anything.
No, it didn't, because the next car behind him was about 3 laps down, so him being 1 lap down didn't really mean anything.
You wonder what story would have been told if he hadn't been in that accident.
Here's the battle for 5th.
Randy McDonald in 01, making a bid on Billy Bigley Jr.
McDonald has come from back in the pack after making a late pit stop and worked his way back up, now trying to get in the top 5.
John Kernan has a comment on Billy Bigley's run.
Bob, I think you got to give a real call to that young man. He has been sick the last half of this race. Whenever he was up there leading earlier, talking to his crew, they said, hey, he's got an upset stomach. They had Mike Cope standing by as a relief driver, but the car was running so well, he said he didn't want to get out of it. So Billy decided to stay in the car and tough it out. I'm telling you what, that shows a lot of guts and determination.
Intestinal fortitude at its best. He has his hands full now in a battle with the Canadian Randy McDonald there in 01. Here once again is the Seneker and Keller tussle for position.
This is for 2nd spot. Keller is faster. He comes off the corner. Looks like a little contact.
A little bump.
And obviously we're getting down to where this can mean some money, a couple of $1,000 probably, or maybe even more between 2nd and 3rd.
Only 7 laps to go in this race. Bigley and McDonald again.
That's a race for 5th.
Last lap, this is what happened as McDonald went to the inside. He saw Bigley get the car completely sideways.
And he got out of the accelerator to keep from spinning Bigley out. Now he's having to try to pass him again. Bigley almost lost control again. Car getting extremely loose. McDonald is going to try it on the outside, Bob.
He may make this work.
Well, he might, but John Kernan talked about Bigley being sick, and the car is awfully loose, and maybe the outside's not the place to be.
Oh, McDonald went in the corner, got in way too hard, lost 5 or 6 car lengths.
Jody Ridley, meanwhile, moves through some traffic on his way to becoming All-Pro champion for the 2nd consecutive year.
Still a race for 2nd place rages on between Seneker, 84 car, blue 84, the black number 57, that's Jason Keller. Keller almost lost. Oh.
And there's debris on the racetrack.
That's Randy McDonald's hood.
There's only 3 laps to go. I don't know whether they're going to throw a caution or not.
I don't think so.
Under caution, I would doubt it.
That's a piece of fiberglass, so it really is not going to hurt anything, I don't think.
Jody Ridley about to go a lap down. Of course, that won't make any difference either as far as the points are concerned.
Less than a mile to go. Less than 2 laps. Jeff Purvis, the leader of the race, will see the white flag displayed this time.
He might just sit there and ride behind Ridley. It wouldn't be any big advantage for him to go around him.
1 to go. You're looking right there at the 98 car of Jody Ridley, who apparently is going to win the championship, and the 51 car of Jeff Purvis that will come home the winner of the race. And Jeff Purvis will win his 5th event of 1992. Here's the checkered flag. The All-American 400 goes to Jeff Purvis.
And we've got a race for 2nd and Seneca finishes.
Seneca did beat Jason Keller for second. And there is the champion of the NASCAR Winston All-Pro Series for 1992, Jody Ridley.
By 1 point, according to my
Unofficial, yes. We will confirm that, but it appears as if Jody Ridley has won the championship again, while Jeff Purvis wins the All-American 400 here at Nashville Motor Raceway in Tennessee. We'll be back to talk with them after this. The NASCAR All-Pro Series has concluded for 1992 with the All-American 400. The top 5 finishers: Purvis, Seneca, Keller, Waltrip, and Billy Bigley Jr. Our Speed World coverage of this event has been brought to you by Valvoline. People who know use Valvoline. And by BF Goodrich TA Tires for unsurpassed performance on the street, on the track, and off-road. Jody Ridley has become the champion of the All-Pro Series in 1992, his second consecutive. Our congratulations. But the man of the race was Jeff Purvis, and in victory lane, here's John Kernan.
Well, very happy Jeff Purvis has climbed out of his car in victory lane, and Jeff, just a great overall effort today. I think you showed the sign of things to come, changing 4 tires on that first stop. Put you back for a little while, but once the car got going, you passed everybody.
Yeah, we had a little bit of problem in the pits there. I think our left rear, we couldn't get the jack under the car, and just one thing after another, and the car just worked good all day. I could get to the high side when I needed to, and I could run the bottom when I needed to. The car just really worked good. The combination was perfect.
Perfect day for Jeff Purvis. He wins again here at Nashville. You get another one of those guitars. That is if somebody hadn't thrown some weights in the back.
I tell you what, I want him to get this thing over there as soon as possible, because I don't want to take a chance of that.
That's Jeff Purvis here in victory lane. Bob?
Purvis, of course, talking about last year when he crossed the finish line first, was disqualified, but then reinstated as the winner. The top 10 finishers: Purvis, Seneca, Jason Keller, Darrell Waltrip, and Billy Bigley Jr. Finishing 6th through 10th, Randy McDonald, Jody Ridley, Dick Trickle, David Green, and 10th was Bobby Gill. Well, coming up here on ESPN, the NHRA Sunoco Keystone Nationals coming up in just a few moments at 10:30 Eastern Time. Then Sports Center, Ladies Pro Bowling, the Danskins Running and Racing at 2 a.m. and Sports Center at 2:30 a.m. Our congratulations to Jeff Purvis. For Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, and John Kernan, I'm Bob Jenkins. So long, everyone.